The Nick and Matt Show.
So Steve talked on a lot of these topics, but here's one
Yep.
for you. What do these other sports, there's these niche sports, if you will, that are probably in a very similar category to disc golf, okay? And people might say, no, they're way larger, but that's because of the sponsorship, not because of the sport itself's history per se. For instance, like I like to think like bicycling. I like to think maybe some of these like X Games sports, skateboarding or like BMXing.
I'll throw you one, Matt. Rock climbing. I know a ton of disc golfers who love rock climbing. When they go out on the road, they check out all different bouldering places and everything like that. Matt and I have a close friend of ours who was on the USA bouldering and speed climbing team. He placed 4th at nationals, which I think it was 18 and younger, or maybe 21 and younger. It was the highest level competition that he could have competed at. He got 4th place. And his older brother is actually the USA Olympic rock climbing coach. So these guys have a ton of knowledge when it comes to the rock climbing world. He is a boulder setter at the gym out here in Massachusetts. I called him up before this podcast and asked him, hey, what are some sponsorships that got into the sport of rock climbing? One of their biggest ones is North Face. At a lot of their competitions, North Face provided them with prizes. They had banners. The gyms or wherever the competition was going down, they did social media posts about them. So, I don't know, North Face, it's huge. Tons of people, I'm sure almost everyone in the world has some sort of North Face at some point in their life, and they've definitely heard of it.
But to be clear, we asked him prior to the show today, we were talking, and I said, what does North Face do for you? And I feel like right now, and at least this is in the climbing sport world as well, unless you're at some major, maybe world championship, they're giving prizes. And we're getting prizes donated because, again, the companies, as Steve said, don't want to waste their time and money. Yeah. So they say, here's
for instance,
a gift. We'll give you 10 cases of Red Bull. And it's like, that's great because it makes our event look like, Red Bull sponsored us. But like, is it allowing us to actually do anything? Maybe if we sold off each can of Red Bull
and put that towards the pro purse or something like that. Yeah, exactly. For the FPO and MPO.
But advertising is a really tricky thing because we're kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's a back and forth. It's like we got to get more people to watch to get more sponsorship ad opportunities. But to get more people to watch, we need more money.
Yep.
Which means we need more ads or more sponsors to come in, and they won't unless we have it. So it's like
a certain degree of exposure to them. I mean, I see it when I go out to, certain big events that happen. Let's, talk about MVP. If Coca-Cola sponsored the MVP Open, one of the only drinks that should be sold at that event should be Coca-Cola, which obviously in disc golf isn't the best drink in the world. Don't get me wrong. I know that.
But you know what they're doing at these events, right? Like these athletic events, like on the sidelines of football or whatever, or whatever it is, they have water inside of whatever that can of energy drink is. Gotcha. They're not drinking the Red Bull.
Yeah. So like LeBron James in the Sprite commercial,
yes,
probably wasn't drinking a Sprite, but no.
No, exactly.
On a serious note, though, we got to think of, obviously this year is tough. Certain events aren't allowing spectators right now. Certain events don't even have PDGA sanctioning in certain areas at the moment. But, going on into next year, how do we get these big sponsorships in our program? Another sponsorship that my buddy Zach was talking about was Yeti. So Yeti is obviously, it's the cooler company, right?
They're the cooler company.
Yeah, we can go with that. So they're the cooler company. They come out with mugs, coolers, a ton of cool stuff for kind of the outdoorsy people. I think that would be an incredible sponsorship in disc golf. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
That could be something, if anyone has a connection to Yeti.
But again,
let's work.
When you say sponsorship, and this is just for the sake of the show,
we're talking about
here,
legitimate, like...
Why would they... I mean, maybe if they donated like 20 Yetis, because you might be able to sell those and get $2,000. But I don't see them... You have to have like an in, because they're not just going to give us money and say, oh, cool, you're going to let 300 people at your event see us. It's going to be, as someone said here in the chats, like it's kind of a catch-22. But I am interested. We don't have the inside scoop here. I mean, you could text Paul if you wanted to, but I wonder, because he got like a Ford shirt when he was over at, what was it, the match play event? The
European, the President's Cup that they do. Yeah.
And they were all of the Team USA was wearing Ford. Maybe everybody
All
was wearing
USA
Ford.
and Europe. Yeah, everyone that had the jersey or the polo.
Does anybody know in our chats or that's listening later that wants to send us a message or an email? What did they get in return for that? Or, and this is where the conversation needs to be, is this just a nurturing of the relationship with a big sponsor to say like, listen, in good favor here, we're just going to give you, as Steve said, just do it for free for a whole year. And a shirt doesn't cost them anything besides, getting it printed and made. And maybe even UC did that. So it's kind of like we bend over and bow to get a sponsorship, but maybe it's required to nurture that relationship. So that's an interesting topic that we're just following up here. We talked about it earlier. If you just jumped on now, you can go back and listen to it and see what Steve had to say about it. I think one thing we want to be careful about, Nick, is turning off sponsors. So like
wearing sweatpants to a country club event will turn off sponsors. I'm just being straight up. I've been a huge advocate on dress to impress. I mean, why are we not following the rules of the PDGA? I think for bigger events should be a little bit more strict in the sense of attire, but I do think attire goes a long way. If everyone in our sport and the professional level of it is looking professional, like I'm not a fan of earbuds while people are playing. And I say that because it's nothing against it. Like right now, it's totally fine to do it. If someone is doing it, it does not bother me in the slightest. I just don't
No, that's not what you just said.
No. I'm saying
quote Nick on it, everybody.
While I'm playing a tournament.
I want him to get roasted in the YouTube comments for once, not me.
While I'm playing in a tournament, I don't care at all. Because most of the tournaments that I'm playing in are C tiers and B tiers right now. But if you are going to a pro tour event and you are a top player in the world that is getting video coverage on you and everything like that, I don't think the earbuds or the earphones or whatever, I don't think they look professional. That's just my personal opinion. I've heard multiple people agree with me on that. I know it may help you out during the round, and I hope there's a better way to find that. But
what are we basing that off of? Is it golf again? Are we going back to golf? Because let me just say,
that's the closest thing we can base our sport off of. We don't want to be exactly like golf, and I 100% get that. I really do, and I don't want our sport to be 100% like golf. But there are certain areas in golf that I think that we can really take from.
I'm the older one as far as this co-host and whatnot goes, but I think, and tell me if I'm totally wrong, like if I watch a snowboarding competition at the half pipe or terrain park, the dudes are like all geared up in what appears to be very cool, hip, like snow gear. It's not the snow gear I grew up with. They've got on headphones that are way cooler than these, and I'm sure they're given all those by their sponsors to like wear and look awesome. But when they're snowboarding, I think they look extremely hip, cool, trendy. Like I want to be like them. And is there not room for that? And I'm not saying that's what these players are who have earbuds in. They're actually trying to like block out stuff probably.
Well, like someone in the comment just wrote, NBA players wear headphones in the layup lines. I get that, but that's in the layup lines. Yeah. Yes, they're on TV and people are covering them, but in the actual game, they're not wearing Beats by Dre headphones.
That's right.
They're just not.
During the game.
During the game, they are not wearing those. They're not wearing AirPods or anything like that. I don't know. I mean, yeah, obviously, if you're warming up for a tournament and you want to wear AirPods, by all means, you do your thing. But in the tournament itself, I personally don't think it looks professional. And you can call me
how much do we have to pay Nick
for that?
If you're listening, you don't get to see Nick wear his headphones. Yeah. But like, how much do we have to pay Nick to wear these headphones during a round?
Well, luckily these headphones are strictly for computers and stuff like that. They don't fit into my phone.
Well, we could find an adapter.
No, we're not going to though. I'm just kidding.
So this is great.
Someone right in marathons, it's against the rules to wear them.
Interesting.
99% of the people I know, whenever they are running, are wearing headphones. But that's when they're practicing running or just getting their general exercise in. But in their professional event, which in this case would be a marathon, they're not wearing headphones.
Very interesting topic. We actually didn't have any plans to talk about that, but it kind of came down to the view of the sport. And I think you actually are taking a little bit more of a hot take than me, which is awesome. I feel like, how do I feel about headphones during a round? I personally think, I'll just say it. I've seen like Jordan Castro, right?
Yep.
Wear headphones. And Jordan, shout out to you, man. I think you look pretty cool when you're doing it. I don't think it looks unprofessional. Now the question could be, do people want it at a disc golf event? But as far as your look goes, it looks hip. Does it belong? I don't know. I'm not there yet. I can hear what you're saying, and I actually, I don't know if I have a stance on this one. That's very rare for me. I think I would want to hear.
Usually you're completely against my ideas. Matt's like, no, I want everyone at the next Pro Tour event wearing headphones same size as Jordan Castro's. That's what I want.